I see we're in position. Good luck!
When Obsidian announced The Outer Worlds last fall, it came across as a flashy and brazen take on traditional Western RPGs. The end product isn't quite so boisterous, but it is vibrant and varied. Most of all, its intricate pieces expertly work together to support one another, allowing you to participate in interesting stories wherever you go.
I don't get paid for banter. Was there something you needed?
It's up to me, up to us to set things right.
The game begins as a seemingly mad scientist pulls you out of cryosleep on a forgotten ship that should have delivered its passengers decades ago. Since he's out of supplies and wanted by the authorities, he sets you on a mission to help him track down the chemicals needed to wake up the thousands of others still in stasis. Whether you actually help him is up to you, and in some ways, the setup is just a launch pad for you to get to know the colony and have your own adventures. Most of the game's quests are optional, but all of them feel worthwhile and part of a broader whole. One side quest leads to another, and doing a favor for someone could result in a favor in return. There is rich lore throughout, and while things written on computers and journals often feel expendable in other games, in The Outer Worlds, these details can make a very real difference in how you perceive a character or situation, potentially even leading to quest branches that otherwise wouldn't be available. It's because of this that completion times can vary wildly. We spent a solid 60 hours digging up dirt, while other players we've talked to finished in less than 20. It all depends on how thoroughly you want to search and how long you want to talk to people. We spent 4 minutes just harassing a shop clerk about his dumb hat. Either way, it's clear that these stories can take a lot of different turns, so it's worth a second run to see what changes and what new opportunities arise with different choices.
Seems the sort of thing a hero would do.
The first town, Edgewater, presents a very clear sense of the dysfunctional relationship between the corporations running the colony and the people living there, with rampant misinformation and soldiers reciting advertising slogans. However, the next settlement is more savvy and independent. Each area not only looks different, but its people have distinctly different attitudes and approaches to how they interact with the corporate board, allowing you to consistently see situations from new angles. Adding to this richness is the group of companions you can recruit into your crew. When different people are in your party, they often comment on the places you go and greet people they know. When you come back to your ship, you might happen upon 2 crew members arguing with each other, and you can go to someone's quarters and pick their brain about life, similar to Mass Effect. The best part of having companions with you, though, is that they often interject during other conversations or comment on major decisions you have to make. It's these moments that feel the most interesting and dynamic, really contributing a sense of life. The conversation system as a whole is a joy to explore. Skill checks provide additional dialogue options not only based on your speech skills, but also with supporting skills like science, engineering, and perception. If your dialogue skills are high enough, you can negotiate through particularly tough situations, open up ways to solve quests that are otherwise unavailable, and talk your way out of some combat scenarios altogether. Not only that, but there are some delightfully snarky and sarcastic dialogue choices that lighten the mood and make for guilty pleasures. At the same time, while it's incredibly well written, there's not a strong emotional pull. Sure, you may gain a sense of connection to characters like Parvati and Sanjar, but there isn't a moment where you'd expect anyone to shed a tear. For the most part, characters feel rigid, lacking body language as they stare directly at camera. It's one reason why companion interruptions are so refreshing, since they ever so slightly break up the static shots. That's not to say it ever gets boring, but it's more intellectually engrossing than dramatic.
It has limits. First-generation technology, you see, but promising.
Spacer's choice policy strictly prohibits dying during work hours.
Combat consists of small-scale encounters against human attackers, robots, and all manner of ferocious alien beasts. Depending on how you want to roll, there are a lot of different options for tackling different situations. You can use long-range hunting rifles to get those sniper shots, getting close with melee weapons like swords and hammers, or play mid-range with pistols, assault rifles, and shotguns. Elemental effects like electricity and corrosion are more effective against specific enemy types, and there are a number of named items with special effects, including crazy science weapons like the Shrink Ray. You can also use workbenches to upgrade, repair, and modify weapons and armor, whether you want to add a backpack to carry more loot, change a weapon's damage type, or add a silencer to reduce detection. On top of this is the TTD system, which is similar to VATS and Fallout. TTD basically allows you to slow time, assess targets, and aim at specific weak points. Hitting those points while in the slowed state has additional effects. Shooting an eye blinds an enemy, hitting a leg cripples them, and shooting them in the chest can knock them over entirely. The impact is temporary, but it can disable a target long enough to finish them off or deal with someone else. Your companions are also with you in battle, and you can either leave them with their default gear or equip them with whatever you like. Additionally, each companion has a powerful special ability that's fun to watch and does a lot of damage. The one downside is that if you outfit them well enough, they can be so effective that they can mop up the enemies before you know it. And that's related to an issue that's true of combat in general. If you like to explore, do side quests, and lockpick your way into everything, you're likely to get fairly overleveled. Thankfully, you can bump it up to hard whenever you like, but the most thorough players may even find that to get too easy until the last sections of the game. When you're on even ground, though, combat is fairly challenging and keeps you on your toes. You'll want to pop a few buffs before you start, limit your exposure to multiple enemies, and make use of your companions as much as possible. Fights happen fast, and you either quickly clear the room or quickly get wiped.
So, what can I do for you?
Character progression is satisfying and will likely be responsible for many secondary playthroughs on its own. When you create a character, you start off with some rather broad traits that determine basic skills, which are grouped into distinct categories like stealth, melee, and leadership. Rather than having to choose individual skills from the start, you begin by amplifying them in groups, raising multiple skills at once. Then, once they're high enough, you can focus in on specifics, including long guns, inspiration, and hacking. Separately, you gain perk points to enable specific bonuses such as increased health, speed, or carrying capacity. On rare occasions after a battle, you're also presented with flaw offers, allowing you to gain an additional perk point at the cost of being permanently weakened against specific enemy or damage types. What's great is how so many of these systems play into one another. Party members, clothing, and even food can provide additional skill boosts. If you need to get through a door and your lockpicking skill isn't high enough, you can change clothes or party members and then drink something for a temporary buff to get through. Meanwhile, even speech skills have combat effects, such as making enemies cower in fear. The UI is a lot of shortcuts you'd hope for in a loot-filled RPG, including a range of sorting options and the ability to mark items as junk so you can sell it all at once. There are a few things missing though. Maps don't allow for custom waypoints, and comparing items while shopping oddly doesn't include an option to compare directly to what you have equipped. You also find a ton of small food items that provide different buffs, but there's no means to sort them by their effects, making it tedious to sift through to find that specific thing that you need. The Outer Worlds is unabashedly colorful and fantastic without looking cartoonish. The various locations across Halcyon look gorgeous, with scenic landscapes, wild monsters, and great effects like the reflections in puddles. It's worth noting that while games on this scale often struggle with bugs and performance, the Outer Worlds run smoothly most of the time. The most significant issues we came across include a few sudden crashes in the final level, and textures distractingly popping up when loading into new areas.
Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes a rather pretty slogan.
While there are some details to refine, what stands out most is just how complete and cohesive the Outer Worlds is. Every system works in tandem. Companions support your skills, people comment on what you wear, and choices have lasting consequences. There are so many variables in how the story can go, but as you play, it does such an excellent job of reinforcing your decisions and making you feel like you're on the right path.
Sometimes violence is the only way!
Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.